Hey, it's Warren Huart here. Hope you're doing marvelously well. I'm sitting here. Wait, are we in Echo Park or Silver Lake?
This is the first section of like the park.
Of the park.
Like Echo Park, yeah.
So I'm here with Jonathan Wilson. How are you, mate?
Good, man. Good, yeah.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
We bonded in Instagram.
Yes.
Because I have a little 12-channel Cadac console from Fivestar Studios. And you recently-ish got this beautiful, whether it's 44 channels,
yeah,
44 channels from Wessex, which also used to live in Fivestar Studios.
Right.
So we both are proud owners of Cadac consoles.
Yes.
And you were just saying that Radiohead have just bought one from...
Right, they had the other board from Wessex.
Right.
Yeah, and they've got it at their place, which I think is in Bath or...
Oh, is it in Bath? It's a beautiful park.
Yeah,
Wow.
so so I've seen pictures like of theirs, and theirs is similar to this, but it's actually like instead of having the sidecar which would turn, theirs is just a big long like straight line. So it comes all the way out here. But it's basically the same modules and stuff. Yeah.
So the reason why we talk about those instances is like there's not many of these consoles.
Yeah, I think 5 or 6 or something. That's what I heard. Yeah.
I'm blanking on my serial number. I believe it's 3.
All right.
I think it's 0003.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that was one of the things about it that made it such a score and such a truly under the radar kind of find, because even for the deepest of the gearheads, these are kind of like an unknown.
Sure. And I see some channels occasionally come up on eBay.
Right.
Most of the time, it's not the 70s period. It's just after that.
Right.
It's
the
a little
J
bit like,
series. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a bit like with Cowrex. We all want the PQ1061s.
Right. Those
but
are
what
cool.
usually comes up is the ones just after that.
Right. And what I understand about these guys is that they got out of this because I would imagine just the profit to like to time spent like to make this these types of desks, but and they got into
theater installations.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like all the Broadway shows.
Right.
They all have these incredible Cadac consoles. Cadac consoles.
Yeah, yeah.
And Cadac it's the initials of all the owners, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I don't remember all the names, but
one is Clive. That's the
Clive.
C. Yeah, that's the main guy. That's his name is Clive Green.
Right.
Yeah, and somebody and one of the other guys was involved with the Trident stuff, like the A range.
Beautiful.
So parts of this board kind of share some of the topologies, of like the A range, such as like the high voltage.
Sure,
the
purest
Class A.
love. Yeah, purest love when you're running really super high voltages.
Yeah.
I also feel another thing about, I was talking to Shelley Yakis the other day, and Shelley was a mainstay at Record Plant in the 70s.
Right.
Made obviously incredible records. And they had a data mix.
Right.
And that when I think of Cadac consoles, the data mix and the Trident, the thing about those consoles is they're all engineer driven. They're all, none of these Cadacs, none of the Tridents, and none of the data mixes from one to another of the same console, because they would go to a studio and the engineers would be like, this is what I need and this is what I want.
Right.
And that's what makes them so individual. Now, that's no disrespect to API and Neve.
Right.
And API had a little bit of that in their early history.
Right.
But what I love about this stuff, and maybe it's just, me romanticizing, but what I love about it is I know that an engineer who's had a lot of love was probably like a Bill Price.
Yeah, exactly.
Was probably like, no, this is what I need and this is how I need it to be.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. I mean, one thing about these desks that is true that I've seen on, like, because since I got this, like, of course I've I'm scoured, like for things about these desks, which there's not a whole lot, but things that I have seen, different comments from guys like Bill Price or Ken Scott or something would say that, like the toggles would be kind of like confusing from time to time.
Sure. Yeah.
So I mean, like there are things that can be done here that can sort of disable like the audio, which can take some time to find like what the heck has been hit, and so those things do.
Because your console and my console share this thing that they were designed also to do quad mixes.
Right.
Because they're mid-late 70s when that was like the fashion.
Yeah.
I remember my dad coming home with Tubular Bells.
Right.
and going like, oh, they've mixed this on quad as well. We need to get a quad system.
Right.
I remember being a little kid. And
like the old film. Michael, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I mean, these this sort of Class A, like discrete, large console like this was just a small frame of time that those were even done. You know, there was this board, there was like the 8078, which is it's kind of the end of the all discrete. You know,
yeah.
And,
yeah, I mean, I have an SSL as well, which is a fantastic sounding console, but it's full of chips.
Right.
There's chips everywhere.
Yeah, and chips are not bad. That's like to me that's a misconception. It's got to do with the design, and stuff. Which I mean, those are great. But this console definitely does have that sort of big fatness and stuff. You know.
Yeah, huge width. I mean, I'm a huge Cadac fan. It was exciting to see somebody else posting on Instagram pictures of a Cadac.
yeah, man. Yeah, I mean,
especially like you said, nobody knows what.
Yeah, which is kind of the best part.
Right.
You know.
Now, your career is like very varied. You're a musician.
Yeah.
You've had some success as a singer-songwriter yourself.
Right.
You produce. You engineer. You mix.
Right.
You're mixing currently in the moment on the console. And what I love about that is I talk about this all the time. To me, that's like the new world.
Right.
You know, there's not like a full-time engineer and an assistant. You're sitting in the back of the room barking orders. You know?
Right.
It's these days, it's hands-on. And I really try to encourage people, whether they're up and coming or returning, because I get a lot of people like 45 years old.
Right.
Kids are in college now.
Right.
You know, and they're going back to music because they're a dentist or a doctor or something, so they're coming back. And I love to encourage that, and I love to see that, because I feel like that's what we have to do now.
Right.
We have to hone our crafts and be great engineers, be producers of our music or other people's and mix. And I'm seeing this wonderful growing middle class.
Right.
I really of people that are making money with artists that are not household names, and I love that.
Right. Yeah. It's
great.
Yeah, and just to sort of the sort of the growing like community home studios and stuff that are kind of professional, you know.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, and the thing is,
gear and stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is, if like one really nice mic pre on the front end for a lot of people can change their lives.
Yeah.
You put a 1073 or a 312 on the front.
Right.
You know, and I find that, you know, that can be a complete game changer. Especially look at somebody like Andrew Sheps, who's mixing in the box, but he's able to because it's being tracked through consoles and preamps, and mics and stuff. Do that.
Yeah.
So you're doing some fun stuff. You just touched on it. You're about to start working with Roger Waters.
Yeah, that's tomorrow.
That's huge.
Yeah. It's great. And I mean, I've been sort of, you know, like we did 3 songs with him last fall.
That was an Ocean
this is
Way.
the continuation of that, and they're great. They're so good. You know.
I can't wait to hear.
And the lyrics are very pertinent to a lot of the things that are going on these days in like the Middle East and stuff like that. You know?
Which is great, because did you watch any of the Grammys last night?
No.
Well, Kendrick Lamar was unbelievable.
Right.
And it was great.
Right.
Chris Stapleton, of course, was amazing as well. But it was just great to, you know, I know we talked about this online and stuff, but, you know, the things about the Roger Waters and the David Bowies, and thankfully somebody like Kendrick Lamar who's up and coming, is like, that's what we used to look for artists to do.
Right.
To be social commentators, to like break down barriers, to like, you know, make people think it was art.
Right.
So it's exciting to see that Roger Waters is doing another record.
Yeah. No, I think it's his first one in 20 years or so.
So I'll come and make tea.
That'd be great, man.
Yeah, I'll bring some PG tips.
Yeah, okay.
I'll come down and make some tea.
Yeah, man, yeah.
And then after about 20 minutes, I'll overstay my welcome and leave.
That sounds cool to me. But yeah, so that'll be fun. And
And Ocean Way is a beautiful room. Were you going to be...
In B.
You're going to be B. That's where I was tracking second to last time.
Yeah, that's a great place. Yeah, like, I mean, I just tracked like an album there that I just did with a girl who's fantastic named Karen Elson. She's a model that she made an album in with Jack White, blah blah blah. But so that was done there too, and that place is just fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, the Neve and that room just has such a sound.
Yeah.
It
It
really
sounds
does.
great for strings and stuff. It's
Yeah.
and yeah.
I last time I was there, I was in A on the Focusrite.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is actually the first time I'd ever worked in A on the Focusrite.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But didn't Nigel? We were talking about Nigel a while ago. Didn't
Yeah.
he buy the console from B?
He did, which was a Delcon, which is
Right.
kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I think he has one. I think they sold one to Beck, or I think both of those guys have one.
Yeah.
And that's a like a chip-based
Oh, it is.
console. Yeah.
It is.
That's the way I understand it. It's based on the early those metal can
Right.
kind of chips and stuff. Which
Sure.
are the same as a
But it'd been in that room
black
for
ones.
ages. hasn't
Yeah,
it?
which those are supposed to be great. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just sort of inherent with the sound of the room. I was
Yeah.
always amazed that they sold it.
Yeah, and now they have those two 8068s
Yeah,
that have
8068
been
stuff,
fused like together.
Yeah.
Which that guy, I think his name is Fred Hill, that did that job, or his
It's amazing.
team. It's so nice.
Yeah, it's so amazing. And then just the wall of outboard compression they have in there.
Yeah.
And API EQs.
Yeah, which is I think it's on a toggle, right? On the
Yeah.
board or on the wall or something.
Yeah, you can
go
just select it and go
that's-
into the API EQs.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's like
And,
the best of all worlds because you're in this world-class sounding room
Right.
with a Neve console. So
Right.
you've got the Neve pre's, but then
Right.
you can go over and introduce API
Yeah.
EQs into the
Yeah.
Neve, and it's just like
Yeah, which I think those were put in place back when the Delcon was there.
Right.
For some extra stuff. That I think the Delcon had just kind of a basic, just like the
probably switchable gains.
Right.
Like a lot of those old consoles, they had like almost like I have some Spectrasonic stuff.
Okay.
And I'm sorry because people who are watching this will know, but I
Right.
think they have like 3 switchables. Like literally,
Gotcha.
it's pretty much like, I'm paraphrasing and getting it wrong, but it's pretty much like quiet, medium, and loud.
Right.
Maybe there's a 4th switch, I
Right.
don't remember, and you have to kind of balance your input. They're
Gotcha.
very unrefined.
Got you. Yeah.
Whereas
this thing has a 5-band, which is cool. It's got a, it's not the most powerful as far as if you compare it to like a 1073 or something where the mid bands just go like it has a huge like.
Sure.
This has kind of got a subtle thing, and I think that I think it only has about 5 dB of
plus or minus.
yeah,
Sure.
that's just my synopsis of it. But so it's got your top, and then you have your high mid, mid,
Yeah.
and,
I know, I love it.
Low mid, and then your bottom end. And this is cool. This is one thing that a lot of consoles don't have, is that the high pass is on a pot, which is sweepable.
That's great.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
And stuff. But yeah, it's
Oh no, I mean I love my Cadac. It sounds absolutely phenomenal.
yeah, like these preamps they're great.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, they're kind of like comparable maybe to 1073s or something.
See, mine looks exactly the
1081s.
same as this. It has I can't remember if it's 70 or there's at least 70 dB of gain, and it's got a separate line like this.
Right.
I wonder if our preamps are the same and our EQs are different.
Yeah, maybe so.
I'd have to read up from between the 320s and the 268s.
Right.
But I feel like the G7-2s ring a bell. I wonder if part of this is
the same.
the same.
Right.
Yeah. I know that's different, but this might be the
Yeah,
same.
like these.
You'll have to come over and check mine out.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Figure it out.
Yeah. This one, these G272s are. This is like the only one I've seen where all the bussing like is on these pots.
Yeah.
But like all the other ones, the bussing is on its own sort of endless toggles.
Yeah.
Which is
Like you said,
challenging. Yeah.
Challenge, you could accidentally be sending a portion of your mix to the wrong area. And you're trying to figure out what happened.
And then one thing about it too that's also cool is like the sidecar, which is a neat thing, and it's just kind of, you know, there's some stuff obviously being fixed at the moment, but one thing that the board has is kind of genius is that it has full 5-band on like the auxes on the sends.
Wow.
And the returns, which is kind of, I mean,
that's crazy.
That's something that you never see.
No.
You know.
And that's great for sending to plates and stuff like that. You want to get the plate a little brighter?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. And you have a plate here. What do you have?
Yeah, it's called an Echo Plate 2, which is which is kind of like an. I mean, it's a big, full-size thing, but yeah.
Where do you hide it?
That's in the back. There.
In the back.
Yeah.
Keep it way away.
Yeah. So I mean, we have that, and we have the lexicon, you know, which.
I see that.
These are great, man. They actually do sound great.
Oh, yeah.
They've kind of come, you know, back around, you know, these.
Well, I think
like
of
the early ones.
Yeah, I think a lot of the English stuff, because in the 80s, a lot of the records we were talking about, like the Joy Division-y, Cure period kind of stuff, they moved away from natural room ambience massively.
Right.
You think of like early Alan Moulder stuff, like Curve. Tony had that stuff, and Flood's early productions.
Right.
Was like, you listen to Killing Joke, you know, those kind of bands, fantastic bands. They were using a lot of digital reverbs, and they would have been like 480s. And just that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Flood was here for the like an album. He didn't, but that was when like when the other desk was here.
When you had the MCI.
Yeah, which was a good board, but you know, it kind of has a charm and kind of a graininess, and it definitely is a useful for Pro Tools sort of.
There's a lot of assignability in the MCIs.
Yeah, you know, it's that sort of.
Well, you know, Rob Snapf has the MCI.
Right.
I was over at Scott Weiland's old place, and they have an MCI there. And the thing is, you know, Eno made all those great David Bowie records on an MCI.
Right.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, yeah.
You know, it's like things go in and out of fashion. Oh, God, they sound amazing.
Yeah. I mean, they don't quite have the extension that this desk has. I mean, this thing goes up to the sky and then down to the, you know, down to the floor. But so I mean,
I imagine the width on the mixes is phenomenal.
Yeah, it's good, man. Yeah. I mean, this console was in Pi, and then a guy bought it from Pi, and like in sort of took it to Iceland, which is
Iceland.
Yeah, which was
did Icelandic death metal?
Yeah, and so then some guy came and got it, you know, like from there, and then brought it back to London. So,
now you got the little golds.
Yeah.
Has this been recased?
Those are the Manly cabinets, which can be purchased still. I think they have a stack of them.
But is this the Mastering Lab crossover?
Yeah.
So it's just Manly's version of the Mastering Lab?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Sure is. And they sound great. I mean, these cabinets definitely tighten up the bottom end and stuff. Yeah. And yeah,
these I used to have a pair of these, which I had from Dave Jordan, and I used them for like 10 years, and then he eventually took them back.
Right on.
So I really miss them.
Yeah. These sound great, man. Like, I got turned on to these by Jackson Brown, and so yeah. Like,
they're that definitely sort of late 70s, early 80s. This was basically Jack Douglas loves them, Shelley Yakus loves them. You know, all of those greats when they these are fantastic speakers. And I used to have a pair of these in my old studio in England.
These are not too bad. Yeah.
Same idea, you know, I know everybody has a different name for them, but in England we used to call them dual concentric.
Right, yeah.
I think there's a different name for them over here, but yeah, same idea. And, you know, one of the biggest issues we face in recording is phase.
Right.
And there's nothing better than having all of the sound come from one direction straight at you.
That's definitely true. And like, but I have these running with the Bryston amps, which is cool.
That's great.
That's a nice little combination and stuff.
Let's see what other fun stuff you got here. So here's the outboard. Some Ivor Drama.
Yeah.
And do you use the gate much anymore?
Not so much.
I mean, that's the thing about Pro Tools now.
Yeah, just like to have a gate, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like they are good for toms and stuff, you know.
Yeah, and they're
Gates are
nice.
fun for tom.
When I first started up in late 80s, early 90s, we used to take all our guitar tracks, put them through the drummer, and trigger it from the hi-hat. So it's like
Okay. Cool.
And it just was great because the hi-hat wasn't like exactly in time.
Right. So there was some
there was
personality and stuff in that.
Had
Cool.
some groove and stuff.
Oh, cool.
So that's, you can do that in Pro Tools in 5 seconds, I'm sure.
Right.
But it's just nice to have, and there's something about hardware and the drummer stuff, he was a great designer. It's made in Yorkshire.
Oh, okay.
Good old,
cool.
And it's funny, only you and Rob, I think, are the only 2 guys I've seen with them so
with
far.
the gates? Oh, okay.
Well,
cool.
with drummer stuff in general.
Yeah.
Not many people, know them that well over here. Well, they know them, but just don't own that much stuff.
Right. No. They made something that was good called a 1960. That's a nice compressor.
I think that's what
cool.
Rob has. Rob Snaff has. Yeah, it's a great compressor.
Yeah.
We just joked about it because it looks so German and sort of like big, huge knobs on it and VUs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, made by a Yorkshireman.
Cool.
So PCM 42, I have one.
Yeah.
Love it.
They sound great.
It is interesting, and we were just touching on the H3000, not to move quickly.
Yeah.
But what's great, and I never thought I'd say this.
Right.
But we're in the world of vintage digital.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
20 years ago, can you imagine saying that?
Right. Yeah.
It's like, but there is a sound with the 42s. There's a sound with the H3000.
For sure.
Which it's whatever. I actually don't know what the bit rate is on that. I have no idea.
Probably 16 or 12 or something, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I would imagine. But these things are just fantastic because you can get into some strange territory.
Yeah, the pitch changing abilities is so amazing.
Yeah, they sound hip,
Yeah, I love using them on vocals to just, detune. I'll do opposites. I'll go up one side and down the other. I'll do it like 3 or 4 times. That actually is the Dave Gilmour sound. If you want the Dave Gilmour vocal, just to add that width. Although, truth be told, I was always a Roger Waters vocal sound guy myself personally.
Yeah.
Plus, Roger Waters' solo records are so amazing.
Yeah, they are, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
the Final Cut. That's a band album, but it's.
And he also had no holds barred. He would just hire the finest musicians. It's like, I'm going to do a solo record. I'm going to have Jeff Beck be the soloist.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like
awesome guy.
Yeah, amazing. Well, congrats on that record. It'll be a lot of fun.
Man.
So 1178s.
Yeah, those are great.
I love them too.
Yeah.
But when they were new and I was a kid, people hated them. They were all like, oh, there's the silver 1178s, the stereo ones. And people were obsessed and you had to get a pair of 1176s.
Blackface and stuff.
Yeah. But now they sound great. They're great on rooms, stereo rooms.
They are sweet, yeah. And they're kind of a little bit less aggressive than the 76 is. Yeah, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Because these things can they're definitely not subtle.
No.
So.
Yeah. But 1176s, you can't go wrong with them.
Yeah. This is an old one. This is a Rev D.
Right.
I think, which that sounds great.
Yeah.
And these are the kits. These are the hairballs.
Hairballs.
Yeah, it's a kit that that can be built. You know? Yeah.
And then you got the Korg Toneworks.
Yeah.
Gotta have it. I have one. I sit between my speakers, so when I'm playing and stuff, I can always just look up.
Yeah, cool. And then this is great. This is like a BA6A.
Wow.
Which is
big old RC.
which sounds fantastic
and looks amazing.
That's kind of like the poor man's Fairchild.
Hey, it's probably still worth a lot of money.
Yeah.
The upper middle class man's.
Yeah, and the
Dimension D.
Yeah, like Dimension D that I brought back in my suitcase from Tokyo.
Oh, really?
Which was a good score. But yeah, these things sound great, man. It's got that.
What do you use them on?
I would use these on, they sound great if you want to spread out a piano track. Right. It's a really cool, it's a very specific sort of tight kind of double sound.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they were used a lot on 12 strings or that kind of thing to spread it.
I always feel like Smith's guitar sounds, Johnny Marr.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a Dimension D, but if I wanted to simulate it, that would be my ideal thing to go to.
Right.
Johnny Marr guitar playing. It's just, love the Smiths. Of course, good old PCM 70. That's a mainstay.
Those are great. Those are great.
Wonderful. You got some Brent Averials down there.
Yeah, which are fantastic.
So one Brent Averial, one BAE since you took it over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah, man.
And now this is exciting.
Yeah.
Tell us about these down here.
These are the same as this.
So the kit companies.
Yeah.
Because Bob Horn has these. Bob Horn and Rob Sneff.
Right. Yeah. This was a kit. This is a kit that a beginner could build these. Wow. Yeah, because I mean, they're like the instructions are great. It's just they sound fantastic. It's
right here.
Yeah. It's basically the same stuff. It's got the op amp. I think.
So do they have a simulation of a 2520?
Yeah, it's just Rob
loves
the
them.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, he really. Yeah. And then the outtake below.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And what are you using that for?
That is something that I'll use to sort of do the fuzzy, sort of distorted,
like basses,
vocals or basses. Yeah.
Just
and
I have a couple of old outtake pieces, and because they were sort of, I don't know, they were sort of the Ford of audio.
Right.
They just did every job. They're built really, really well.
Right,
you can abuse them and smash them really hard, and they've got a lot of personality.
Yeah. These sound great.
V72s.
Yeah, I mean,
I have a
they're
pair.
the best.
What do you use yours on?
But like for bass, they're fantastic for bass.
I've got to try them on the bass.
Yeah.
I'm using 312s at the moment. But
okay.
I don't use
these. These are great for bass.
I find them too soft on guitars and vocals.
Right.
Now maybe if I was doing.
They're soft. Yeah.
Yeah. But bass, they might be.
Yeah,
I've got to try them.
And they're great for horns and stuff too.
Horns make sense because that 2K on a horn.
Yeah,
it would tame it. That makes sense.
So
that's a good
those
tip.
are great. And
I'll try them on horns.
Yeah, and then these are like the DBXs, which are always good.
Yeah,
like the 160s are sweet, man.
Yeah. And what's the 161? Those are the RCA inputs, yeah.
Yeah, which this one has been modified to like. Yeah,
because for a while they were super cheap on eBay because nobody knew what they were, but now of course,
yeah.
No.
And
big fan.
Yeah, this one has been modded and stuff by this guy that's doing like a mod on these.
Yeah.
But and stuff. But that sounds great.
So he's got a high pass built into it. That's cool.
And he changes the op amps and the caps and blah blah blah. But
to me it was LA 3s and 4s. Dave Sardi turned me onto those because he uses them a lot on guitars.
Oh, okay.
Because you get that kind of Rihanna kind of they spank.
Gotcha.
And the other thing that's nice about them, frankly, people, what I love about them is they're dumb. They're two controls.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And when you're moving in a studio fast and you've got a band around you,
exactly,
you just go into that on a guitar and you're like, oh, that sounds good.
No, that's a great point.
And I always find when I mix, I don't have to do as much with them.
Right.
They're definitely committed to a sound though. You have to be bold.
Yeah, true. Yeah. And then this thing, this is like this is the magical box that's made up the street by a guy. His company's called Highland Dynamics, and he's doing these new, just huge tube compressors. This was one that he did, like for this place, kind of
custom made.
Yeah, like a special box that's got all the old stickers and old tape and junk. That
it's very
looks
Silver
like
Lake.
it's old. Yeah,
this is your very Silver Lake compressor.
Yeah. But this thing sounds fantastic.
It looks amazing. When I first saw it, I said to you earlier, I was like, is that real?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh yeah, that's real.
Yeah. Like this guy's a genius, man. His name is Bryce Gonzalez. So,
Gonzalez, cool.
Yeah.
Good old 160X. That's my kick-in mic when I film.
On. Yeah. Those are cool.
Yeah.
But for cheap. Yeah. These are great. These have gone, these have gotten expensive now. But this is the Master Room Spring, which is definitely sounds good.
Yeah, and all those EQ options are incredible.
Yeah, that's
to
cool.
be able to do that.
And
now
this,
the PV. I love PV.
Yeah, it's definitely good
T40 is one of my favorite basses.
Yeah, those are great. Yeah, this is in here just for some sort of, like
Is it tube or solid state?
It's both. Yeah,
oh, wow.
But it's just, this will give you like a power ballad distortion.
You know, one of my favorite records growing up is Making Movies by Dire Straits.
Oh, yeah.
You know the song Romeo and Juliet with the dobro?
Yeah.
You know at the end of the song there's a it's amazing guitar stuff.
Right.
And it's so, how do I explain? Because he's playing with his fingers, it's so percussive.
Right.
So we interviewed Shelley, it's coming out today, so we interviewed Shelley Yakus who recorded it.
Right.
And I was like,
what is that?
I'm like, how'd you do that? And he's like, well, he said that they couldn't, with a standard Marshall and whatever electric he was using, they couldn't get that kind of percussiveness from his fingers.
Right.
So they used a Furman mic pre, like not Furman mic pre, Furman preamp. So it must have been like a guitar preamp, but even cheaper, like Furman.
Gotcha.
Like, and that goes to front end into the Marshall. Okay. Super clean, low level, into a Marshall, just using, but into the preamp stage of a Marshall.
Right.
So whenever anybody like gets snobby about stuff, I look at things like that and like, you never know. I mean, like, there's a guy like Shelley Yakus has made. Shelley Yakus recorded "Don't Fear the Reaper." You know,
right.
He did "Damn the Torpedoes."
Right.
You know, he recorded "Walls and Bridges."
Right.
You know.
Wow.
So we know that he's got ears, and I love that because you look at things like that, like, the thing about it was a solid state piece of equipment. Preamp was probably worth $100.
Right.
But it did something special. Right. So now I like go to the end of Romeo and Juliet and hear those amazing percussive guitar parts.
Right.
And
like the Furman was the secret.
Yeah, $100 piece of gear.
Yeah.
You know, so I love that
That's
stuff.
definitely true, man. I mean, like that's what this thing is. It's like a PV, you know, it's you know.
I love PV stuff.
Yeah.
It's fun, you know, and Joe Barresi has a massive collection of PV heads.
Got you.
And tracks a lot of those, you know, because he did so many records with
the Queens. No.
Queens, yeah.
Right.
And like a lot of that is just left of center thinking, you know.
Right.
Like you've got there, like Guiatone guitars.
Right, yeah.
You know, PV heads. And everybody raves about their guitar sounds because they're so unique.
Right. True.
I mean, we all have a Marshall JMP and a Telecaster, but after a while.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is this.
You got the Eventide instant flanger.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
That sounds great. Yeah,
I'm very, very jealous of that.
Yeah, like that's the old.
We'll have to come over and track just so I can use that.
Yeah, man.
Dude.
Yeah. Come back over, man, for sure.
Well, Jack would probably love to work here as well, Jack Douglas, because the Eventide guys used to come down to the record plant with him and Shelley and Roy Cicala and bring them stuff they were building.
Right. Wow.
Be like, oh, here's a new, like he told me the snare sound on Rocks on a few tracks. Okay. Him and Jay Messina used the very first Eventide digital delays.
Right on.
And there's a
delay lines or something they were called, right?
Yeah, slight slap on the snare.
Okay.
So when you listen to the snap, it just has a body and a warmth to it.
Right, but it's just a tight little snap.
Yeah, so it makes it just sound a little tubbier.
Right.
So, yeah. And then pitch changing, you know, the early pitch changing of the early stuff.
Right.
He actually used a flanger and a delay on the snare. And I believe it was probably that one.
Wow.
When was that made?
This is probably from the mid-'70s, right?
Yeah, so probably, because Rocks is 76.
Right.
Yeah, I'll tell him about this. He'll be excited to know about it.
Cool.
And so the Manly.
Yeah, that's a good piece. You know? Preamp.
They make nice stuff.
Yeah, it's like a DI. These are cool. These are some weird German passive.
I've never seen those.
Equalizers that I got like from my buddy, a great like producer.
Were they for mastering or something?
Craig Street. They may have been. You know, it's just fixed on the top at 10K.
Yeah.
And fixed on the bottom at 60 hertz, but they sound sweet, man.
Because it just has a sort of mastering feel, a boost of 60, a boost of 10, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
Doesn't it make you feel like it should be on a lathe or something?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Little boom and fizz.
Yeah, man.
I remember when I first moved out here, I can't remember who I used, who mastered my first album out here. But he was like, well, this is what we do on the West Coast, but on the East Coast, it was still like that, like in the early or mid 90s.
Right.
But they still had a different set of frequencies they would boost.
Oh, wow. Right. Like for the East Coast. Right?
Yeah. Huh. Wasn't it Shelley was telling us about the compression? Yeah. Yep. He was telling us that the reason in the 70s why why the music sounded so different is because the radio stations on the East and the West Coast compressed things differently.
Right, wow.
So they would mix differently for the stations.
Right.
So the guys that were mixing and mastering on different coasts had different sounds.
Wow.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
Like nowadays we're all on the good old interwebs, we're all on the internet.
Right.
And so we all know what each other's doing and we can hear it.
Right.
But the fact you would go, I'm going to go to New York to get the New York sound.
Right.
I want to go to the record plant West because they have their sound.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Great, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the Focus, right?
Yeah, that's a nice piece. It's a pre that's got some pretty extensive sort of convoluted, complicated equalization.
Your brain's the same as mine. I love Focusrite stuff. That bus compressor, that series, the red one, is unbelievable.
Oh yeah, the red too is sweet.
Yeah, I don't know why they stopped making it, but
this thing is great. It's just like it does take a little bit of time to figure out.
It's a little bit of a learning curve for my brain.
Because you have to go let's see, 6K times 3. What's that?
It's okay. Musicians, we're not math geniuses.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
that's a cool piece.
And then
these are great.
Yeah, the Manny style Pultecs are great. And then
these are Pultecs that were made by the same guy that made this.
It's got United Western recorders.
Yeah, that was done for fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You didn't actually get them from United Western.
No, but these are fully point-to-point Pultec tube.
Wonderful.
Replicas, which they sound great.
Oh, and the Innovonics down the bottom.
That's just a piece of a tape machine that's just kind of down there for fun. But then there, we got the tube, like Echoplex here, which is cool.
Yeah, I have one too.
It's a cool piece. And this whole rack is sort of my quarter-inch sort of fun, like consumer kind of, outboard to some extent.
This is fun.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, this is really good.
And this thing is great too, like the old.
Oh yeah, no, those are great. I used to have a DM1000, which was the silver front version.
Okay, this thing is hip, man.
No, it's really good. Yamaha DX1. I've never seen one of these in real life.
Yeah, man.
I only read about these when I was a kid. These were unbelievably expensive.
Right.
How much did you say they were worth?
I think when it was new in 1982, I saw it was $16,000. Yeah.
Which is like a small house.
Right.
Probably a Ferrari in those days.
Right, yeah.
Or a DX1.
Right, yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
But this was used by Dire Straits, used one like the Pet Shop Boys, lots of bands like that, But I think they only made 60 or something of these.
At $16,000, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably had one of these like at Abbey Road or Metropolis or Olympic or something.
Yeah.
The Village or... It was always like the high-end studios only who would have these.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, this is amazing.
But this thing is great, man, yeah. And it's got your Brazilian back and sides,
Endangered wood.
Yeah.
And you were saying earlier it had a breath control on it as well?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which is a must, like for me,
You like to be expressive.
Yeah.
And then there's what was you saying about the CS1 thing? So you can actually control.
I guess that feature is called polyphonic aftertouch, which is where you can control, your expression with the pressure. So so that's kind of
cool.
Unique, like to these.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad to actually finally see one in real life.
Yeah.
All right, mate. That was oh, by the way, what do you call the studio?
Oh, this is called Fivestar.
Fivestar.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, thanks ever so much.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to come back and do some tracking here.
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah. I love
come back for sure.
Yeah, the Cadac's amazing. Some of these choice pieces of outboard. I know Jack's going to freak out.
And there's also great microphones and stuff here too. So
we'll have to go through my collection as well.
Yeah.
Well, thanks ever so much for watching. That was marvelous time recording and mixing. Please go to producelikeapro.com, sign up for the email list, subscribe, and leave loads of questions and comments below, and we'll endeavour to answer as many as possible. Thank you very much.